they don't have heating anywhere. Hello friends, I'm Axi, your favorite YouTube architect. Welcome and welcome. If you're new here, don't forget to like and subscribe if you like this video, because that will encourage me to make more videos. Today is going to be all around me and my boyfriend exploring the north of Tenerife. So we decided to move to Tenerife. We moved here, you can check the video. But Tenerife is an island which has very different landscapes in the north and in the south. And even though we were decided to move here, we weren't sure if it's going to be the north or the south. So we thought we should try the north, and we should try the north in the winter because that's absolutely the coldest period that we could ever get. If we want to live here for a long time, we should check it out, you know, in the roughest conditions. We were lucky that my boyfriend had a friend who had a friend who had an Airbnb that could be rented to us without like any extra months of paying, because it was directly with her. So it aligned very well with the time that we needed to be away from the south. We found this place in a city called Tacoronte and we moved there. Tacoronte is around 500 meters above sea level, and then because we couldn't work in the apartment, we decided to go to a co-working space in La Orotava, which is around 400 meters above sea level. And you might think this is not important, you know, the altitude of the cities, but this is very important. I'm gonna follow up with why. So temperatures are very important, and especially in Tenerife, they're super important because they make kind of like a big difference. So in the south, it's always warmer than the north, obviously. So as you go higher, the temperature decreases by 1 degree with every 100 meters that you go up. So basically in Tacoronte, because we were at like 500 meters above sea level, it was 5 degrees colder than at the coast. And you would think like, oh, 5 degrees, you know, that's not that much. But it really is, when at the coast it's 22 degrees and then in Tacoronte is 17. Especially at night, you know, it was 10 degrees in Tacoronte. And this was very cold. For me personally, I get cold very easily, and this was very, very extreme, especially because they don't have heating anywhere on this island. So if there's 10 degrees outside, you kind of have like an extra duvet or something, and you put a water bottle, which we did. But it was, for me personally, very extreme and a definitive no-no. So this is also like Andalusia, right? Because Andalusia is also super beautiful, and then when I was there and I was thinking about living there, it didn't suit me at all. And it was the same with the north, you know, like super beautiful. I would love to go there many, many times. But imagining myself being there and living there and, you know, every winter being 10 degrees outside, it would be too extreme for me personally. Also, of course, it was way rainier there in the south, and, you know, every day I checked the temperatures, you know, Tacoronte versus Los Cristianos, and it was, oh yeah, it's sunny and 24 degrees, and in Tacoronte it was raining. So one of the interesting things is that if you would go blindfold from the south to the north, you would think that it's a different country. So the south is very dry, you know, with like red rocks, and basically all the plants are cacti or palm trees, whereas in the north, there's many, many plants, many flowers, many types of trees, there's grass. The whole north part is very lush and very green. So, of course, it's very pleasant to be there, and it's very different. It's a different landscape, it's a different scene. We also discovered that the whole scene in the north is very different from the south. So again, the south is very touristic, can get in some points like quite kitsch. You have these like resorts in which you sense that there's absolutely no one from Tenerife living there. It's just tourists everywhere, just hotels, just shops. And north is the complete opposite. So north, you hear mostly Spanish. You meet people who have actually been born in Tenerife. We've met someone at the co-working, and this person said, you know, I would never move to the south because that's not the real Tenerife. The real Tenerife is the north, where everything is more like local, traditional, like the real way of living here. I appreciate this a lot, you know. And I also appreciate the fact that you can switch landscapes and you can switch vibes in an hour drive, right? Because from the south to the north, it's just an hour drive. Apart from this, we discovered that because there's way more locals there, there's also way more entertainment there. And entertainment as in not, you know, pubs with live concerts at the seaside. So we discovered randomly a baseball field, and I like baseball, I like watching baseball. I found it very entertaining. We collected actually a ball from there. it was next to the ocean, so it was very scenographic. And also because they have like a stadium and they have the Tenerife basketball team. I went for the first time to a basketball game, and I really love it. I'm really entertained by this. We went several times after that. We also explored a bit of Santa Cruz, and I discovered many nice buildings. There's museums, there's things to do, you know, it feels like a city and it feels like not touristy at all. So I definitely appreciate Santa Cruz and the north for basically the entertainment, right? It feels like a city, it feels nice, the vibe is very nice, it feels very, you know, it feels cool. It feels like a cool place. I like it. Apart from the cold, of course. I want to talk a bit about the accessibility and transport. So Tenerife is pretty dense. There's a lot of cities and villages, but all of them are pretty poorly connected via public transport. So people just use personal cars to go anywhere, and we also use just the car to go anywhere. Basically, every day we were going from Tacoronte to La Orotava to the Corking with the car, and then after work, you know, when it's cold and rainy and you have to go with a car for a walk, you don't really do it, right? So most of the time after work we were just inside. Usually I like to go for runs and to be outside at least once per day, but in Tacoronte is very slopey, so it's a big hill, and then the sidewalks are also very small, and add that to the temperatures, it was just not fortunate for me. I didn't go for runs there. I just didn't do any sports for 6 weeks, which was very uncomfortable. It's just, you know, like the context of being there and, you know, like what I find comfortable to be in. So basically we did exploring of the cities during the week. When we went with the car always, we went to the coast, where it's actually, you know, it's way warmer and nicer. They also have some touristic places, but not as much as in the south. So it's very cool to see different places in the north as well, also at the coast, and kind of to compare coast to coast. And yeah, that was very cool. I'm happy with what we managed to do, given the fact that, you know, we worked. So every day, 8 hours, we were just at the co-working space. We stayed sometimes even later, and we explored most of the nature in the weekends. Again, we went with a car and we don't even know where we were, and we just ended in a very beautiful forest. They have lots of them. They're all connected with different paths. So my boyfriend has an app in which you can see all the paths and you can go from one to another. But again, I'm thinking, you know, my boyfriend also loves the lush vegetation and everything. But then I told him, that is Belgium, you know, like, do you want to move back to Belgium? Because that's Belgium as well. And it's cold and lush. But then why did we actually move to Tenerife? It was to be outside most of the time and to spend more time in the nature, even though it could be a very dry nature like the south. This, and also the fact that between the north and the south you can go with the car in 1 hour, and we were just going in the weekends anyway. It just doesn't make any sense to move to a place where you can just go out in the weekends, when you can do that anyway from a different place with the price of a 1 hour drive. As I said before, I think the context of actually moving to a place, you think of it in a very different way. You think, do I want to do this and this every day, and do I want to live with this and this every day? And if the answer is, I don't really like that, I don't really enjoy that, and that's not my first choice. That was us in the north. So at the end, when we came back, we were relieved to be back in the south because it was way warmer, way more enjoyable for me personally. Again, this is just for me personally. This is not by any means recommending or not recommending any side of the island to anyone. It's just preferences, right? So the north is very beautiful, but for me, it's a bit uncomfortable to live there. We came back to the south and we agreed that the place that we live now makes the most sense to be in for the long term, because it's a place that is at the sea, so you can go to the sea. You can actually walk to the sea, you don't need a car. And then you can also walk, which is super important, to a natural reserve, which is just rocks and cacti, that's it. But you can walk there, that's very important. I hope this gives you more of an insight about what it is to live in different parts of Tenerife. Of course, if you're just coming to Tenerife for visiting and just for like a week or 2 weeks, definitely go to both sites. It's definitely worth it, and you're going to enjoy them very much, both of them. If you're going to move here, I really suggest that you try both of them, and both of them in the winter and both of them in the summer, you know, just take your time and decide, because, you know, like, moving to a place doesn't mean that that's the end of it and that's the place. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you soon. And I want to explain a bit, like, I don't know. So it was just, yeah. But all of them are very poorly connected păsărica.